Hey, real quick, before the video starts, I posted a poll with a couple of videos I'm working on, and I want you to choose which one you'd like to see first. It only takes a couple seconds, and it'll just help me make content that you want to see. Hello everybody, we are back with another tier list video. I wasn't planning on doing another one, but this kind viewer right here requested that I do another one based on the difficulty of the maps. So, that's what we're gonna do. I'm not going to be including the 2 new maps that were introduced because I haven't had enough time with them to properly decide what their difficulty is like. We'll be going in mission order again. So we'll start off with Thank You Come Again. This one, definitely the easiest, which makes sense because it's, the tutorial mission. It's kind of supposed to be easy. Next mission, this one is also very easy. The only really tricky part is when you're being gunned down by people when you're on the first story because, you don't really have an advantage point and it's kind of hard to spot them. It can also be kind of tricky when you're in some of the rooms because they're quite close quarters and they can just kind of all gang up on you, which is very annoying. Twisted Nerve. This one's kind of tricky, especially because of that tunnel area where there's like multiple tunnels you have to be aware of, and if you're playing solo where you don't have proper teammates to cover your angles, you kind of have to dash between each tunnel, which is very annoying. Not to mention that in some areas you're just being shot from all different angles, which is kind of a common occurrence with most of these levels. Especially in that one area where you're kind of like around the staircase and there's a ton of doors. That's not fun. Next mission, Lethal Obsession. This one's annoying, mainly because of the traps. It is not fun. It's kind of like playing the floor is lava with a wasp. Like you have to avoid the traps, but then there's like wasps, aka the enemies, trying to shoot you, and it's kind of hard to balance between them, especially because like pretty much every door has a trap. That's a problem that does not occur with the next mission, Ides of March. There's only like a couple traps, but you do have to be aware of them, but there's a lot more space. This one's not, honestly, it's kind of easy for the most part. I'll give it, well, actually, it does have some challenges with some of the, I don't know, it's between these two. It's definitely harder than Twisted Nerve. We'll put it here. Mainly because of those traps. I mean, the traps aren't that bad, but it's mainly because the enemies are like, military veterans, and that changes their AI, and they'll like regroup and stuff, and that can be quite tricky. The spider's next. Actually, is the spider before Rise of March? I think it is. Oh, you know what? I think it's actually, yeah, hold on a minute. Okay, I think it comes after Twisted Nerve, and then it's Lethal Obsession. Okay, this one's not that bad. I'll say it's kind of tricky because it can definitely be challenging in some areas. Like, on the roof, I end up dying a lot on the roof because even though there's always one or two people up there and you always know to be aware of them, they still jump out at you. And then when you're on the staircase up to the roof, you can't really cover your angles. I imagine that's not too hard with actual people covering your six, but the AI teammates just kind of suck. Okay, Sinuous Trail. This one's annoying. Mainly because of the server room where it's kind of like a maze. And also, when you're in the server, there's like an elevated surface where the enemies will kind of camp out and shoot you from above. And you're just at a very large disadvantage there. Envy of the Earth is next. This one is really easy. It might even be easier than Thank You Come Again. In fact, I'm going to put it ahead, even though it's, we're not going by that. Grease Palms. This one, it's not super hard. Like, there are harder, but then again, it is also quite annoying. It's up there in terms of difficulty. I'll put it in impossible. It's definitely not the hardest map on this list, but it is very hard. Especially because all of those holes and stuff, like with the boxes and stuff, there's just tons of tiny cracks where the enemies can shoot you from, and you can't really shoot them. Very difficult. Valley of the Dolls. This one's very hard. There's a lot of enemies on this one, and the enemies are pretty, like, advanced. Especially when you're in that kind of cross area where there's like a kind of like an interior bridge where the enemies can shoot you from like multiple angles. That is quite annoying, and I often die there a lot. And also, when you're upstairs with those big windows, the enemies can shoot you while they're like outside, which is annoying. Next is elephant. Um, this one's not super hard, but the bombs do add some pressure, but not really because the bomb timer is 30 minutes. It's not that bad. There's only like 4 to 5 enemies, and the only really tricky part is when you're trying to get an S rank and you're trying to save all the civilians, because the shooters will start killing civilians as you're going through if you make too much noise, which is annoying. Rust Belt. This one, where is it? There it is. Rust Belt. This one's not terrible. It's really annoying though, especially with the tunnel area. The first bit where you're not in the tunnels is like not much of the mission at all. It's like the first 2 minutes, but once you're in the tunnels, it can be super annoying. It's a really big maze too, and you kind of have to decide which path you're going through, and to find all the enemies is really annoying and just ugh. Sins of the Father. This one I actually think is one of the harder missions. Um, there is flashbang traps, but those don't really do much. But the main difficulty comes from the enemies because there's also a lot of rooms, so you have to be careful about clearing those because one could just come out, like there could be a hallway and you clear a room to the left, but then the room to the right there's an enemy in, and then they just come out and shoot you in the back, which is never fun. There's also that section with like the interior balcony where you can get shot from below. I always hate that when you're getting shot from different elevations. Neon Tomb. This one's not that hard. I'll say it's annoying just because it can be kind of tricky to find all the enemies, and the lights and music can be annoying until you turn them off. There are bomb vests, but they really do not do much. I really think they should change the bomb vests. Buy cheap, buy twice. This one's pretty hard. It's mainly just a big open area. Well, it's not really. It's mainly the parking lot that's open. The parking lot enemies can just kind of hide because it's super dark, and even with night vision, it can be hard to spot enemies. When you're inside, there's not really too many rooms, but they're all pretty big, so that can be tricky. Carriers of the Vine. Carriers of Vine isn't super hard, but it can be quite scary if you're on like an Iron Man playthrough because there's so many enemies. It's a pretty creepy map, but we're not really judging that here. It's not too bad. There's a couple of civilians that look like the enemies, which can be kind of annoying. Like, you'll see a civilian and just shoot them because they look identical to the actual baddies. Relapse. This one's really annoying. There's 3 stories, and there's like 2 separate buildings that you have to go across. You have to clear all the thingies. Some of the bad guys look like the regular doctors or whatever, and that can be annoying. And if you miss a civilian or an enemy, I think I mentioned this in the last tier list video, but you have to go all the way back through, which is not fun. The last mission of the main game, hide and seek. It's not that hard. It's mainly just a big open area. There's a lot of enemies, but it's not super hard. You just have to be careful when you're outside because there's tons of long ranges. You even have to be worried of that on the inside because there's like this one big warehouse, which is basically all of the interior, and that's really open, and the only cover you really have is like the cargo containers. Alright, we're now on to the DLC missions. Dorms. This one's not really that bad. I don't know why, but even though it's relatively small, it's really hard to like find everybody. It's like a maze, but not really. I don't know why. When I first played this, it took me forever to find the last guy. Narcos, this one's annoying. It's mainly just a ton of houses that you have to go through, and if you miss one of the houses, you have to like scan all the way through. When I played this one for the first time, it took me forever to find the last guys. That's something that this DLC kind of has in common, I guess. These 2 missions have in common. Lawmaker, it's really not that bad. There's quite a few enemies, but it's not too hard to kill them all. Mirage at Sea. This one's not too bad. The only thing that you really have to be aware of is that one guy, the one Dubai guy. I can't remember what he's called, but you know, he's like the The Indian. No, I don't think he's Indian. What's the Arab? Arabian. Yes, Arabian. That's the race. But the enemies are kind of smart, like they're kind of advanced. Leviathan, this one's annoying. Similar for Grease Palms, it has quite a few cracks, but it's also really hard to find all the enemies because, again, it's like a maze. There's a lot of these maps that are just a maze. 3-letter triad. This one's also not too bad, but also annoying. What is this ad doing here? Why do ad blockers not work half the time? How do I get rid of you? Okay, I'll just scroll upward. But yeah, 3-letter triad's not super bad. It's just kind of long. There's also that one achievement. That's another thing that I should probably take into account. Like this one has an achievement where you have to kill 2 guys from like far away, which is annoying because it's kind of hard to get that range of a kill because there's not really many vantage points where you can shoot enemies from that far away. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like shoot 2 enemies from a certain distance. I can't remember what the distance is, but this one too. This one has like arrest, I don't know what, 15 suspects within. No, it's like let me just look it up on Steam real quick. Okay, here's the one on Leviathan. Successfully hit 2 long-range headshots on 2 different active suspects. I have yet to get that one because it's just so hard to find suspects from 30 meters away. Okay, and then here's the one for 3-letter triad. Apprehend or incapacitate 15 suspects consecutively within 15 seconds of one another on standard difficulty or higher. That one, unless you have like friends, that's just not really possible. Like it is technically possible to do solo, but it's really hard and you have to set it up. And it's just like really annoying. Other than that, it's not too bad of a mission. But that's the tier list. Kind of looks like a skyscraper. What is that? Like the Eiffel Tower? No, not the Eiffel Tower. The fucking Empire State Building. Look, eh? You see the resemblance? Well, anyway, that's the ranking of all the maps in terms of difficulty. See ya.